Yes. Let's let's not go down the tangent. Matthew St. Germain has a Christmas story for us to wrap up with today's show. And oh man, he's got some images and some fun stuff for you guys. Oh boy, I hope you get ready for this, Yarrow.
And let's leave both those two wings of that same shitbird and spark up a Yule log with me.
Oh yes. Light 'em if you got 'em.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy whatever, Happy Merry Festivus for the rest of us.
Smoke weed every day.
But what I have today is a story about the origins of Santa Claus and the Roman Church and how we got where we are today and where we need to go. And there we are. So gaze upon the screen, my friends. Oh, what's going on? Give me a second, you guys. I'm high, and I turned off my green screen.
Oh,
it's got to go back on. There we go.
There we go.
Yay.
Yep, there we go.
So what we have today is a story about astrotheology and shamanism. What is that? Astrotheology is the original human religion that uses the stars, the sun, the moon, and the rotation of our Earth to place us in the fractal center of the cosmos, where the center is everywhere and the center is both within and without us. Shamanism is also known as curanderismo. Oh, my shit's getting... Don't look at that. Don't look at that. Okay, there we go. Shamanism is also known as curanderismo, and there's other terms for it that were used by the Europeans that have been extinguished due to the Romans and then the Roman Catholic Church. It basically means midwifery and healing people with our original pharmaceuticals, plants. Plants were the original pharmaceuticals. They still can heal you today with far less side effects. What the drug companies like to do is isolate one active ingredient from pharmaceuticals, patent it, and sell it to you for millions of dollars. So those are two books you can get that can dive deeper into this. What we're talking about today is Santa Claus being a Siberian mushroom shaman. What you see here is actually the gathering of the Santas. And for those of you that didn't know, this happens every winter solstice in Siberia, where the various tribal Santas gather to say prayers and wish everybody, give everybody wishes and blessings for a happy new year. And if we think back to Santa Claus, our Santa, you can see which one he looks like, right? He's that red guy with the white tip on his hat. His color coordination looks a lot like my hat, and there's a bit of a reason. Oh, my shit's out of order. Okay, here we go. There we go. Santa, a fat red and white man with a white dot on his head. Walking around with reindeer, flying around with reindeer, entering through chimneys, etc., etc. Why? We have the Amanita muscaria mushroom, the reindeer, and the Siberian and Finnic cultures that were allied with this animal. It gave them food. It covered their houses. It kept them warm in the wintertime. It and gave them transportation for hunting and otherwise. And there was a link between the shamans, the people, the mushroom, and the reindeer. So this is an actual Siberian shaman, curanderismo, and she is talking with and communing with the Amanita muscaria psychedelic mushrooms. As you can see, she's got a tunic that features the red flesh with the white dots. These folks, it used to be not everybody would take psychedelics. You'd have a weirdo or two in your tribe. They would live on the edge of the tribe. They would take the psychedelics. They would usually learn in an apprenticeship from a mentor about the different plants that could both hurt and heal everyone in the community from the surrounding area, and they would guide the tribe. And when someone would get sick, they would sit with them. The shaman would usually do the psychedelic mushrooms, except for a couple of group rituals yearly, and determine what was wrong with the person in the path to healing. Why are presents under pine trees? Why is the Christmas tree? Why are presents under pine trees? The Amanita muscaria mushrooms are saprophytic. They grow on dead wood, and specifically they grow on the roots and dead roots of pine trees in Siberia primarily. Now, they are in other places of the world. There are other species, but for our purposes, we're focusing right here. So the reason the Christmas tree is a pine tree is because there's mushrooms growing under it. These mushrooms magically appear like presents in the morning from the dew and are gone oftentimes within a day or two. You can see them right there at the base of the tree, right? Now, mushrooms are about 98% water, and a reason for decorating the tree, you know how people do that with popcorn and different things, is these shamans would be out and they'd have to harvest mushrooms and bring them back. Now, if they're 98% water, the best thing they could do is dry out these mushrooms while they harvest more, and so they would pierce the mushrooms on a string, and they would weave this string throughout the lower branches of the trees. They would leave these mushrooms here to dry, and then they would go harvest more. And once they had all these dried mushrooms, they could take a bunch more back to the village to enjoy with everybody for the yearly winter ceremony, which gets me to the chimney. Why does Santa come through the chimney? Because these Siberian people live in yurts or gurs. That's this thing right here. Boom. It's a circular house that's easily taken down, and they put it on the reindeer, and they truck it around because they move. They're still migrational. They move with different resources depending on the time of year. In the wintertime, the snow would be up to this level oftentimes. Boom, up to the level of the top of the house. And Santa or the shaman would have to come down through the smoke hole with the presents or the mushrooms to help the families in the tribe get through these moments of the darkest days of winter where the sun may not even come out for months or more. Getting back, my expertly prepared slideshow. Boom! Here's just a great slide, and this displays the tie of the people and the mushroom. Now, why do the reindeer fly, and why the reindeer with the shaman? First and foremost, reindeer, foxes, bears, and other animals are attracted to eating these mushrooms for their intoxicating qualities, and they have all been photographed and witnessed eating these mushrooms and being visibly intoxicated after ingesting them. So the reindeers would ingest them, and somehow, people are freaky and didn't have TV, folks realized that the active ingredients in the Amanita muscaria mushroom, primarily muscimol, would pass through the urine of a mammal, and any toxic effects, like sometimes they would hurt your tummy or make you dizzy, etc., any of these toxic effects would be mitigated by the reindeer eating the mushroom and then drinking the reindeer pee. So the reason the reindeer flying is because they're high as balls. And the whole reindeer drinking pee thing, no judgment, but I'm not going there. There's easier ways to do mushrooms. There's a reindeer curious in a mushroom. Boom. And now art has featured the mushrooms, elves, Santa, and reindeer going back throughout Christian history right up till about the 50s and 60s. There was a hard switch where all of a sudden Santa was invented by Coca-Cola. No. And a lot of the mushroom stuff disappeared until recently. Now, why? Because the Roman Empire and then the Roman Catholic Church set about on a practice of de-indigenization of the European indigenous population, taking away the drum, the tattoo, shaman curanderismo, the ties to the land, the native languages, for the purposes of colonialization and control, resource control, and class stratification. So the ties to healing, psychedelic, and other plants were taken away from the European cultures. Mushrooms were then associated with demons and cast as toxic to the majority of the Western European population in an attempt to control the minds and bodies and the territory of said populations. In the 50s, when the mushrooms began to get popular through Life magazine and Timothy Leary and Ram Dass and all of these different, Aldous Huxley, all of these different cultural touch points, all of a sudden the mushrooms disappeared and it became all about Santa was invented by Coca-Cola, because the CIA and bankers and these foundations and high-level intellectuals and politicians first got into these and were really turned on by the accelerative intellectual abilities of psychedelics, but they were very scared about the entheogenic properties, the part of putting God in your heart and in your mind and showing us our connections to our ecosystem and each other, and that we're all a family in a great galactic web of love and conscious energy. And so they began to expunge all evidence as much as they could of any psychedelic ties to Christmas and to these festivals in order to continue to hide psychedelics and entheogenics from us. But the good news is they did not win. The mushroom is back in art. Santa is psychedelic as fuck again. People are realizing that we are all one human family. We need to protect our life support system, which is the ecology, the trees and the plants and the animals of this earth, so that we can continue to explore space in peace and become a galactic and then universal civilization. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take those 5 dry grams of mushrooms that I taped below your seat last night while you were asleep, and we're going to start eating these together in the spirit of love, communion, human joy, and family. Santa was a mushroom. The reindeer were high. Jason and Yarrow, take it away.
Oh, my goodness. And that's what make reindeers fly is mushrooms.
Damn, son.
Man.
Merry Christmas.
Wow. Talk about some ho-ho-hoing going on.
I really appreciated the way you summarized this. Not a lot of this was new information to me, but that's because my dad is a historian who's focused a lot on some of these elements, this gutting of the pagan and indigenous underpinnings, as well as this interaction between psychedelics and communities. What I thought was really cool was, as I was looking at that picture of all of those different Santas, it started blowing my Santa mind. It reminded me of one of those pimp contests where like green crocodile leather shoes, and they come out
Bishop Don Magic Wand.
Yeah, young Don Juan and I also thought it was really interesting that there has been a consistent attempt, not just in the United States and not just in the last 100 years, to disconnect people from that which causes them to step outside the box and be free thinkers. And that, we talked a little bit about what's America, what embodies America. And we talked a little bit about compliant immigration being one of the most American things, just foundational to this country. And I would like to think that this country still represents an opportunity for free thinking, for thinking outside the box, for shedding conventional norms. And so there has clearly been an attempt to keep us busy, keep us with our heads down, keep us glued to whatever sedates us, and to prevent people from having the opportunity to step outside the box and have the opportunity to just connect on different levels.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
Here.
Mm-hmm. Very, very, very much so, Yara. I'm with you. And at the same time, too, what else is going to make you think that reindeer fly other than being high on mushrooms? You know what I mean?
The other thing that I thought was really interesting that you talked about is this connection between religion and the Earth's position in the solar system. And if we go back from the Egyptians and the placement of the pyramids to the Mayans and their invention of the concept of zero, we can look across the world to many ancient eras. And there is this deep connection and understanding of where we were located, not just geographically, but where the world was located cosmically or celestially. And we've lost a lot of those skills. There was an era where people could navigate by the stars.
Yep.
Now, if you don't have GPS, you probably can't make it to Taco Bell.
Well, there was a lot less smog, so a lot more people got to see the stars too, Yarrow.
Light pollution.
Yep. But there was
100% right. The first thing that ancient cultures pre-Abrahamic religion would do when they would settle somewhere new is build a stone calendar. They would put the biggest stones they could and align them to the winter, summer solstice, the equinoxes, the rising and setting of the sun and the moon at these times, because it would locate them in space-time as to their connection and where precisely they were, as well as help them with time to harvest, time to hunt, time to move. And one of the first things that the Roman Catholic Church did in its de-indigenization was sever our ties for the earth. Not, if we look at the message from Genesis, it is that God created the earth for man to dominate and use at his pleasure. They replaced the story that is the true story, which is we are belongings, we are daughters and sons of this planetary ecological web, and our job is as stewards not fuck it up and to hopefully make it a little bit better than we got it for the next generations, because if we all move the needle just 1 degree in a better direction, eventually we're going to be living in a golden age, in a paradise on earth. However, someone who is connected to the earth in an ecological web and knows the true galactic time scale is far less subject to fear and far harder to control, and therefore the first thing to do is to separate people from their location in space-time and their connection to the universe. The next thing to do is to insert a meme of sexual shame and suppression by telling you can't touch yourself, you have to deny your very basic needs, and God is going to torture you in hell forever for seeking the pleasure that he wired your body to go towards and be capable of. And I could go on at length, but I just want to say I agree with you, Yarrow. Great take.
I mean, that greater context is what's been taken away, and it's interesting at best. It's frankly it's sad, but that relationship between us and the rest of the cosmos is something that you don't hear much about these days, do we? Right?
No.
There's no Stonehenges, there's no pyramids, there's no people acclimating or building their lives around that cycle, the solstice, the equinox. I mean, as an agrarian society, and this is, I'm going to tie this back to cannabis. As an agrarian society, many people build their lives around harvest cycles, planting cycles, harvest parties, etc. And all of that had to do with this relationship of this big piece of dirt circling around the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
So to that effect, Yarrow, you can make, and anyone out there can make, your own calendar of your own. Get some stones, set an alert on your phone, or before the sunrise on so it's going to be the spring equinox is the next rising. So set your alarm before that time. Find a plot of land where you can see the horizon. Put a stone where you want the middle to be, and then just wait for the sun to come up. Get behind that stone, hopefully, with a friend or not, move that sucker around and line it up to the rising at the equinox. Next will be June 25th, which is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, and the fall equinox, and the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. I've done this in several places. Currently, I'm living in a development where I've got houses and fences. I can't do it. But anytime I live somewhere where I have a hilltop or a clear view, the first thing I do is make a stone calendar and locate myself in space-time in order to try to be a benefit to my fellow humans, brothers and sisters.
Space time, and with all that space time,